We'll start with the open public meetings notice.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cranberry Press, the Trenton Times, and Home News Tribune on January 6, 2023, posted on the Township's website, and sent to those who requested a copy of this notice. We'll move on to roll call. Mrs. El-Badawi? Here. Mrs. Knierim is absent. Dr. Rogers? Here. Mr. Scott?
Here.
And Mayor Fronte?
Here.
Thank you.
Welcome. So welcome, everybody. We have a lighter agenda than we thought tonight. But we're going to start with Township Committee minutes of the regular meeting of January 9th and the budget meeting of January 21st. Is there anyone that would like to move both those minutes?
I'd like to move those minutes.
Great. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to roll call, and this will be for both sets of minutes. Mrs. El-Badawi?
Yes.
Mrs. Knierim is absent. Dr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Fronte?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's unanimous. Thank you. So great. So yes, so the minutes that we just approved were for our first January 9th full meeting of the year, as well as our January 21st budget meeting. I'll give a recap of the budget meeting in a few minutes. Ms. Knierim is actually traveling on business to Eastern Europe this week. So yay. So that's exciting. So we'll go over to reports and communications. So Dr. Rogers, you want to start?
Sure. There were two meetings that I was unable to attend since I was out of town, but I received summaries of, I'm the liaison to the Board of Ed, and I received summaries of the meetings from Pramod from the Board of Ed and Paul Mullen from the Environmental Chair. So Princeton High School orientation presentation was completed by the Princeton High School principal at the Board of Ed meeting. Planning is in progress for the 125th celebration for the school. It's planned for the last week of April. We are participating, Township Committee members. I helped organize a Mayor's Walk to School event. That'll be April 24th, I believe. 5th, okay. April 25th. And that is in partnership with the Mayor's Wellness Committee, and also CHIPS will have a table with historic student artifacts that day too. And more will be on that as it gets closer in April. Auxiliary gym is received a certificate of occupancy. The Environmental Commission, it was a light meeting. They discussed minutes and what's needed to be included in minutes, and they discussed goals from 20 to 23, 20 goals for 2023 and accomplishments for 2022, and the type of sustainability projects that they would like to support, which includes municipal energy audit, EV bike network plan, and they will help work on a sustainability presentation to the TC in the future. In addition, I spoke with the county transportation department about what's happening, on the county roads with the bike network plan, and they're going to get back to me next week about the scope of their road work on the county roads that are planned for Cranberry in 2023. And they requested a list of the roads that Cranberry will be working on this year and the upcoming years, just so that we can get, coordinated on road work with them. And in addition, the county is working on the bike pedestrian plan, master plan for bike and pedestrians, and they should have it completed by the spring, and they'll be looking for public comment on that county plan. This week we were going to, but it's going to be rescheduled. We were going to Denise, Mike, and the school business administrator. We're going to receive a building referendum update, but that's to be determined. And Jennifer Disler was made aware of the election dates in June and November, so that the parking lot, and she assured me that construction won't interrupt the parking lots while voters come to vote. Yep. And I also inquired about the Southern Middlesex Flood Resiliency Study, and the county is waiting for potential award for federal funding on that. So that's it. Any questions?
No, and I think just for the public, it's worth note the school referendum. The school is undergoing an $18 million referendum and the first step was building a new auxiliary gym behind the new gym, which then starts a cascade of events. And the next step is going to be the whole front section of the school, from the old gym through the old library building, and that's all going to be ripped up and become a construction zone. So they're very careful we're working through sort of where appropriate parking is, there's going to be a new entrance, temporary front entrance to the school, move down a few entrances of the building. So we're going to work through logistics and sort of make sure that the shared township and school space are uninterrupted over the course of the construction project. And it will be a multi-year construction project. So good, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Rogers?
Nope.
Okay. Mr. Scott?
I have two liaisons, but the Board of Rec did not meet. They did not have a quorum. And Parks, I was not able to attend, but Yvonne was kind enough to attend for me, so I'll let her fill us in.
Okay, great, thank you. Ms. Leatherway?
All right, thank you. With regards to the parks meeting, they met and they did their reorganization. The chairwoman is Sally O'Grady, and the first chair is Brendan, and the second chair is Adam, as it was last year, so there's no change. And they discussed a few items. A couple of things that they wanted the TC to sort of look at, and either we've taken care of that, mostly we've taken care of that. They did mention something about the Brook Trail, the park. It's not on the township maps, and I think that's something they would like to see get put on the maps. I'm not sure what that process would be. Debbie, is that something that we send to you, or?
Which trail?
Brook Trail. It's not on the township. It's got to be a trail on one of the parks. They call it the Brook Trail.
I think when we do the recreation and open space inventory, that can be looked at and addressed. That's when we came up the last time with the list and then including it on the website. So I would wait until we go through all of that, I think.
I mean, I think the action may be if we instruct the parks to, as part of the open space plan, that they recognize, they look over that list and make sure that includes all the trails that they expect.
And the planner will work with them on that.
So good, okay. Good.
That was one of their suggestions. Now, I think a couple of the other things were taken care of. They're very excited about the walking trail, obviously, and we are all very excited about that walking trail. I think they're going to look at doing their Arts in the Park celebration or some kind of celebration to coincide with the opening of that park. So it's going to be well thought out. And they did again discuss the possibility of 2 signs at the to delineate parking for family only at Village Park. It's still a discussion, and the advantages and disadvantages are heavily being discussed. I think, Matt, that will.
Yeah, that's going to be it.
It will be an ongoing discussion. Yes, because it's something that's not enforceable necessarily.
Right.
So. And they did come to our budget meeting with their asks, one of which was the pavilion. So that was one thing that they discussed then. But otherwise, I'm not much more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So that was parts.
If I could, it's just for clarification, I know that we're going to have the planner discussing a lot with Rex and Park. And at the next meeting, I'm sure they're going to ask when that process will begin. Do we have to wait until budget?
I've already spoken with Liz, and she's going to work on a timeline and a cost estimate for it. We discussed scope. The last time the scope was quite extensive. They were starting from basically nothing. And this time, and she was a part of that process with Richard, but she was a junior associate at the time. And so now she'll be running it. And so she, just wanted to kind of go over the scope with me. And I said it's going to be much less than what it was. And so she was going to work on that. She will be working with Parks and Recreation. There will be public input. So it's a multi-month process. But we don't actually have the money available, she won't bill us, so she's gonna start working on it now, and then she'll reach out to them in the next
And
month.
then also, sorry, Mr. Mayor, also for the pickleball and for the PDA playground, when is that time frame?
So, for those two things, I mean, Ken basically needs to work with Tom Decker and then see if there's another consultant that we need to pull in to work on the research for those two projects, okay? And so, that can't happen until we have the money set aside in the capital, so
Right.
that won't be until, probably May.
For the open space, I think environmental commission should be included too, because it's
Absolutely.
open space.
All-
We're saying park
All,
and rec.
all the commission, all the boards and commissions
Yeah.
will have a chance to weigh in. Yep.
I forgot to add, Parks did come to the environmental commission too, and pointed out one of the was Pin Oaks Trail did not have the deer hunting sign, and that's been put out by
Yep.
DPW.
I have
Thank you.
one more update,
Yep.
Mayor, if that's okay. The Municipal Alliance met on January 17th, and they went over their goals and achievements for 2022 and 2023. They introduced their new member, Rita Benaroff, and she's from Penn Medicine. She's part of the health support program there. And this person will also be working in conjunction, I think, with the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, so it's very exciting. And they talked about how March is National Alcohol Facts Week. June 3rd will be the Health and Wellness Fair. And they did discuss they still have 2 open positions. And am I correct? They're still open, Mayor?
They're still open.
Okay, so
Yes.
they still have those 2 positions open.
Yep.
And at the time, they were discussing the career day that they had pioneered. I mean, this year they pioneered a career day to mimic what Cranberry does. They did this at PHS. And I think it went off pretty
Yeah.
well. 76 presenters for 1,600 students, so it was no small task. And the goal was to give students vision and improving their health and their outlook on their future and careers. There is a new Students Wellness Center at PHS, and they're looking for volunteers to donate snacks for those less privileged. And they talked about the 125th anniversary of the school and how some of the work at the Municipal Alliance will enhance some of the activities that the school already has ongoing.
But it's Cranberry School or PHS?
Cranberry School, yes. There'll be a whole week. Did you mention that, Barbara? You're right. So there's a little bit of overlap and collaboration, which is nice to see. And Joanne Charwin will be offering Zoom yoga for the teachers on their personal development day, so it's really cool. And Miss Grimaldi, which is one of the newer members, and Robin will be looking into the horticultural options at the school. So they're busy in many different spaces, and it's all about the health and wellness of town. So very good.
That's great. Thank you. Good. Any questions from Ms. Albedo?
Oh, just one question. The Arts in the Park, so will that be in Village Park? Will they do the walking trail? Are they gonna do it?
I think they're talking about it. They're talking about how to celebrate the opening of that trail.
We know we didn't date for that, I'm sorry. Do we have a
No.
date for-
No, because the trail is not
Yeah.
completed yet.
It'll be coinciding. Good. All right. Moving on, I'm going to put a mayor's update out tomorrow, and I'm going to report out on the 2023 budget meeting. I'm going to report that at the budget meeting on the 21st, we reviewed capital and operating expenses and agreed to keep taxes flat for 2023. We also agreed to use approximately $1 million in operating funds to cover capital road improvements planned for 2023, reducing future debt obligations for taxpayers. I'll note that the township has not raised municipal taxes since 2016, and municipal taxes are approximately 20% of your overall tax bill. I'll remind residents to look forward to seeing a resurfaced Plainsboro Road and a new walking path in Village Park this year. And I'll acknowledge the update of the 2007 open space inventory as a basis to plan future community needs, including exploring pickleball courts and more inclusive playgrounds. I'll report out on coffee with the mayor. Ms. Obedaway and I had coffee with the mayor on January 14th at the new public library. It was a great event. We had about over 20 people come with good local coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, and so that was a good event. But it was actually nice because at times we had people standing in a circle and mingling. Other times we were had people sitting down. So it's a very flexible environment. And a lot of people, it was their first visit to the library, which was nice. I'm going to put out a bike safety reminder. We had a resident that was sort of bowled down by a biker on the sidewalk. So we're going to remind bikers to that their responsibility, that pedestrians have the right of way on sidewalks, and that bikers should use the road and wear a helmet for safe bike riding. We revised the 2023 recycling schedule, and I have a little reminder about that. I'll remind about kindergarten registration. That'll happen by October 1st. The great news is the school and the library are very keen to make sure that we're connected on the mayor's update, which is great. So we're including regular library and school updates that Dr. Rogers started. I'm going to put a link in the message to the New Jersey broadband survey. If people want their voice heard about how our internet service is provided in Cranberry, they can fill out the state survey. I did it today. It's pretty straightforward, and it gives a chance to voice your concerns about what you think about internet options in Cranberry. We're going to put out a call for pictures and paraphernalia for Cranberry Station. The Historic Preservation Commission is requesting any resident who might have photos, documentations, tickets, sales receipts, or any other paraphernalia from the Cranberry Station's working days and operations to get that to Susan Ryan. And then I'll just highlight some of the upcoming events. February 4th, this Saturday, is the Chinese New Year celebration at the library. February 13th, in this forum, we'll be doing the Demystifying Local Government, and we'll be inviting local Girl and Boy Scouts to that event. April 24th, 30th is Cranberry School's 125th anniversary, and May 7th is going to be the Tour de Cranberry, an Eagle project for Life Scout Tyler Sensi, which will have a 10-mile loop around Cranberry as well as an in-town loop for beginning bikers. So really neat opportunity to sort of, there'll be bike safety demonstrations. We'll sort of highlight the diversity of our roads in town, some that are more safer than others, and we'll sort of have the bikers experience the different terrain of roads around our town. And there'll also be a path down Main Street to Old Trenton Road, and there'll be some events actually on the parks along the way. So should be a very nice event. And that is the only updates that I had. The only board meeting I had that I attended was the library board meeting on the 12th of February, and nothing to report out of that session. So thank you. Any questions?
I'm not sure if you wanted to include on the Tour de Cranberry, there's also, I think there's going to be an event like the 1713 partnership with EDAC.
I think when we get a little closer, I'll include that in there.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Good. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Moving on our agenda. Yeah, please.
A recap of, Lisa had sent out recaps of her meetings.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Let me pull those up. Stand by. So for Ms. Knierim, reported on the EDAC that the EDAC is going to be doing a presentation to the TC to recap their 2022 accomplishments as their 2023 goals. She recapped the HPC that was January 10th and January 17th that was canceled. They had their reorg. We included their request for updates for paraphernalia. They discussed they gave an opinion on the pavilion roof for Village Park. They clarified some responsibilities. That was good. The Board of Health, she reported on the Board of Health that they had their 2023 reorganization, and the Board of Health would like to put the rabies clinic back on the table with the right sort of guardrails to make that a successful event. And they weighed in on a couple other ongoing projects, but I think nothing else to report on that. So thank you. Thanks for the reminder too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Good. Did we have a traffic subcommittee?
Coming up.
Coming
Not
up.
yet.
Okay, good. All right,
About
next.
2 weeks.
Okay, any other subcommittees we want to report out before we have the chief come up? Okay. Chief Owens, welcome. How are you this evening?
Great.
Good, welcome.
Mayor.
Welcome. Good.
Deputy Mayor, good to see you. Mr. Scott, good to see you. Dr. Rogers.
Good evening.
Good to see you. Ms. Rubin.
And members of the
Good to
public.
see you. Mike Owens, Chief of Police, nice to meet you all. forward you all a copy of my report. If anyone have any questions about that? I know, Mr. Mayor, you had requested some comparable numbers for last year for some conversation. I don't have those specific data yet.
Okay.
We're still
Can
compiling.
you just-
They can't.
Just move it.
We're
Can't
still
hear you, Matt.
compiling some of our data from last year. But I will note that I recognize that our proactive stats, some of those stats that I know that we analyze when we're here, summonses, stops, and arrests, have considerably trended downward this year. And that's for various reasons that I'll be happy to discuss. One of them, we had a rough year this year with workers' comp issues. At one point, we were down 4 officers for workers' comp issues, including the death of one of our officers. With that creates minimums on shifts at times where we have minimum times that our guys are on answering the calls without full power, full guys out. So that affects some of those proactive stats. Additionally, we have to cut our traffic bureau short with guys being out. They're plugged in to fill those shifts that are open. So that is, and we had an officer retiring from that traffic bureau shift as well. So those numbers are down. We have 2 guys that are out actively in the traffic bureau, stopping cars. You're looking at 10 to 20 stops a day per officer for 4 or 5 days that they're in. So that's a considerable number that we're losing out on for stops and summonses. Additionally, our state, and I know I've talked about this several times, we have an increase in state mandated training that our officers must complete each year. And this year, the past year, seemed like we were facing a tremendous amount of state mandated training, including ICAP, ABLE, CLEAR training, which at times takes our officers, ICAP, for instance, took a week that our officers had to go out and attend an ICAP.
What is ICAP?
Yeah.
It is integrated communications assessment tools, tactics, not tools. ABLE's active bystander for law enforcement. All this training came out of Ferguson case, and our officers are taking those. New Jersey's pretty proactive on that kind of training. So those are some of the reasons why we had a considerable downward trend for our proactive enforcement. So hoping for 2 returns of 2 of my officers that are out. They should be back shortly. One was out for shoulder surgery. One was out for a hand injury. I'm hoping this is for outlooks for this year. Hoping they return soon. We're in a hiring process of 1 new officer that's continuing. I hope you all meet that candidate soon. We'll have to set up a meeting shortly for that to meet the candidate. Additionally, we're at that's soon, so I hope to get our officers back to full staff. Additionally, we're at early stages of developing and implementing a safe space program for our community, and that is where local businesses provide a safe space for those wishing to report bias crimes, specifically relating to the LGBTQI community. That's something that I'd like to see implemented in our town. That entails getting an officer who works as a liaison, putting them through specific training, getting community businesses on board to assist with that. It's a little bit of a process to go through, but I think it'd be worthy of this community.
That's a state initiative, or is that?
It was developed by a Seattle police officer. Our state does have a liaison through the county that does that as well. So it'd be nice in our town. Lastly, we continue to work hard through serving our community, which we have our LEAD program is currently active, which is our law enforcement against drugs. We have an officer teaching that school program. We're going to continue our various community programs that we always have, which includes having the Boy Scouts come to our headquarters, and the Scout and the Girl Scouts, and providing tours to the Ladies Club, all that throughout the year. We'll continue to work with the emergency services, first aid, fire and first aid. Plan on having some group training with them this year. And I invite you as well for maybe a tabletop training that's specifically for the mayor.
That'd be great.
Tabletop exercise for financial issues in our town. And that's it. Our officers will continue to work with professionalism, integrity, and courage. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good.
Good.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I just wanted to say thank you for looking out for our, more vulnerable members of the community. So that's a very nice initiative, and thank you.
You're welcome. I hope that the training, I hope that all comes to it's early, we're at the early stages of getting that together. So I hope it all comes to I'd like to see.
Thank you.
Thank you. The timeline for when we meet with the candidate?
Within the month or so, right? Get something together within a month.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Appreciate
Chief Owens.
Thanks, Chief.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. We're moving on. Any other department heads, Ms. Marabella, we need to cover? Okay. Follow-up items. I think we actually addressed all the action items. We're going to have EDAC come to a presentation soon, and we addressed the traffic subcommittee and the demystifying. So I think we're good on follow-up items. Ms. Marabella or Ms. Rubin, any changes or additions to the agenda?
None, Mayor.
Okay. And moving on to boards and commissions.
Mayor,
And yeah.
sorry. We had talked about flowers on Main Street. Did we ever figure out who's going to be responsible?
We did. We actually, Ms. Marabella put money in the budget, and the Boy Scouts will be leading that. And
Okay,
luckily, we have a resident who is a hydroponics plant expert who has sort of offered her expertise to keep the watering levels more sustainable and manageable. So that's a good scout parent to have involved.
Indeed, yeah.
So,
Hydroponics.
yes, good. I have two more quick updates before I jump into the boards and commissions. All dogs and cat licenses have been keyed in. There's 286 dogs and 54 cats that have been licensed in town. And I mean, this is a lot. And remember, we actually cite people if they have not fulfilled their obligations for 2023. So, and everybody claims it's a surprise.
Yes.
Despite the multiple notices.
Yes.
But so vacancies, we have 2 members on the EDAC, we have 2 openings on the Municipal Alliance Alternative, and we have 2 openings on the parks. Good. So, and actually, I think, did we were still waiting for the CBA person, and then we have a full member. For we're supposed to, and I will be appointing Leo Ferrante to the Parks Commission. No relation. Part of the Boston Ferrantes.
Oh, okay.
Not the Michigan Ferrantes. So, with that, so we're going to move on to ordinances. We have no first readings for ordinances tonight, but we have 2 second readings for ordinances. And we'll do these one at a time. And what we'll do is Ms. Rubin will read the title. We'll open for any public hearing on this, and then we'll have a chance for the Township Committee members to comment on this if they have any comments. So, so Ms. Rubin, please.
Thank you. The first ordinance on for this evening for second reading is Cranberry Township Ordinance Number 01-23-01, an ordinance amending the Code of the Township of Cranberry, Chapter 42, entitled Economic Development Advisory Committee. I
Sure.
could ask for a motion and a
Yes.
second to get the discussion.
Can I get a motion to open the public comment and discussion on this?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. So just to summarize, what this is a very small change to the ordinance to allow a member of the Economic Development Committee to be from the Cranberry Business Association or the Cranberry Chamber of Commerce, now that we have 2 business organizations. So it allows for either of those organizations to provide a member to EDAC. It's just a wording change to the ordinance. So any public comment on this ordinance? Okay, going once, going twice. We'll close on the public comment. Any Township Committee members that would like to comment on this ordinance change?
I would just say it's a step forward. It allows EDAC to become more involved in local commerce. It sort of gives them the ability to be in both worlds, governmental and business side. So
Yeah,
it's good.
keeps them plugged in. Good. So hearing no more comments, we'll do a roll call.
Thank you, Mayor. Mrs. Albadawi,
Yes.
Mrs. Knierim is absent. Dr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Fronte?
Yes,
It's unanimous for
Thank you.
present.
and we will move on to our second reading of the ordinance tonight.
Okay, this evening, the second ordinance that is on for second reading is Cranberry Township Ordinance Number 01-23-02, calendar year 2023 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. If I can ask for a motion.
So moved.
I'll second it.
So opening this for public comment, this is a budget housekeeping question to allow for a cap bank on that. Public comment. And yep, and there are copies, and you'll want to hit the, yep. Thank you.
Richard, I don't need you to sign it for the ordinance part. That's just for public comment. I'll note it.
And just hit the, there you go. Thank
There you go.
Welcome.
Just a basic question. What does this come down to as an increase in the municipal budget per hundred on the tax rate?
I don't believe it is a change.
It doesn't. All this does is allow us to increase our inside cap budget. And we are already given a 2.5% increase from last year. The state allows that. It allows us to go up to 3.5%. I can tell you we didn't even go up to 2.5%. The reason that we do this every year is so we can bank that difference. We're allowed to keep that for 2 years. So if for some reason in the next 2 years something happened in our inside cap, we would have this as a cushion to allow us without having to go to the state and ask for permission. So that's all it does.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public that'd like to comment on this? Okay, thank you. So I think, as Ms. Marval said, this is basically we're, as a township committee, we're trying to land this plane with this budget, and this cap bank sets an upper bound that we can, if God forbid we had to go to, it gives us that leverage, but the intent is almost never to use that. So it's just this is a safety mechanism that we hope to not have to use. Any township committee members have any additional comments on this? Okay, we'll go to a vote.
Thank you. Mrs. Elbadawi?
Yes.
Mrs. Knierim is absent. Dr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mayor Fronte?
Yes,
It's unanimous for those present.
thank you. We'll now move on to the consent resolution. We have items 11A through 11D. Is there anyone that would like anything broken out on those four? Hearing none, can I have a motion for items 11A through 11D?
I move items 11A to 11D.
Great, thank you, Mr. Scott. Second,
I'll second it.
thank you.
Thank you. Move on to roll call. Mrs. Elbadawi?
Yes.
And Mrs. Knierim is absent. Dr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
And Mayor Fronte?
Yes,
Again, unanimous for those present.
excellent. So we are now at the public comment portion of the agenda. And just as a reminder for the members of the public, our seasoned folks, but this is your chance to speak to us. Our job is to listen. For fairness, we keep it at 3 minutes time limit. And what we'll do is we'll hear any public comment. We'll record those issues, and when we close public comment, we'll do our best to address or assign somebody to address those public comments in a future way. So having that, I'm welcome to open for anyone that would like to make a public comment. Okay, we'll close public comment. Action items. Did you capture any action items, Ms. O'Donnell?
I got one from Barbara, listing the roads that Cranberry will be working on and making sure that goes to the bike network plan.
Goes to the county. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. All right, well, thank you. Any other action items for tonight?
Not that I saw.
Okay. I think we'll get EDAC so for future township committee meetings. We will be on the 12th. We'll be doing the demystifying local government. We'll also be doing the CDBG grants at that meeting, and we'll get EDAC to a 2nd February or a March. And the budget hearing will be also the 12th, 13th.
I think the EDAC was looking at a later date.
Later
You
date.
could offer them
Yep,
a later
of course. Yeah, of course. So the February 13th, we'll do the budget meeting and budget introduction as well as the demystifying. Good. And there will be Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, so please be on your best behavior. Good. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Great. Do you have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Stop, stop. Mike, I won't be here